Chapter 18. I didn't want to think of Rockney as a bad guy, and I definitely didn't want to take Naoki's word for anything, so I decided to learn more about Rockney from people who knew him. On my next day off, I visited Victor the dwarf, telling him I wanted to know more about the island. Rockney was in Dallas, so I didn't have to worry about him for a while. When I got to Victor's, he greeted me and escorted me to an awesome game room with a pool table and a home theater system that actually looked like a movie theater. There were a dozen comfortable-looking seats arranged in front of a large silver screen. We sat at a bar near the pool table, and he gave me a glass of clear soda since I was only 19. Even on a mysterious island miles away from any cops, he followed the law. He stayed behind the bar, mixing himself a drink when he said, "So, what would you like to know, my friend?" Well, I lied when I said I wanted to know more about the island. I think I already know as much as there is. He chuckled. "You can think that all you want, but you're wrong." I laughed too. Well, what I really want to know is more about Rockney. Victor stopped mixing his drink and stared at me. "Like what?" "I don't know. Just more." "Why don't you just ask him?" I took a sip of my soda to stall. Well, after what happened with Trick, I wondered how someone could put a spell like that on the island. I felt bad for lying, but I didn't think telling Victor I was having conversations with the alleged enemy was a good idea. "That spell causes unwanted guests to leave. No one has ever stayed on the island for that long with the spell in effect. It wasn't Rockney's fault. If you want to blame someone, blame Naoki. He was the one possessing Trick. He killed him, not Rockney." I nodded. I know. I could tell Victor was offended. How long have you two known each other? "Oh, I'd say about 200 years. I felt my eyes go wide. Wow, that's a long time. Do your people always live that long? "No, we live as long as you humans. Rockney gave me the gift of extended aging. It's a spell he grants to only his most loyal friends." It sounded like he was hinting at something, and it made me feel even worse about my suspicions of Rockney. Were you there when Shay tried to kill Naoki? "Yes. Well, I was up there with them, but I didn't see her try to kill him." I nodded. So, you didn't see him curse her? "No. Why?" I sighed, feeling like I wasn't accomplishing anything. I changed tactics. I keep dreaming about Naoki, and he told me some things. I'm worried about what I'm being dragged into. I didn't care about Naoki's warning of what Rockney did to enemies, and didn't care if Victor told him. I've been told 2 different versions of the same story. "The only way you could have talked to Naoki is if you took that amulet off." He didn't seem to like that I did that. "What did he tell you?" He told me he wasn't the bad guy, and that he wasn't trying to find Astrid in order to regain his strength. He said he wants to find her because she's his daughter. Victor shook his head, taking a sip of his drink. "And you believed him?" "It sounds believable, but I don't know. I believed Rockney because his was the first version I heard. I just don't know what to believe anymore." "Well, if you're having doubts, I suggest you quit before Rockney finds out about them. Otherwise, things will get extremely awkward between you two." "Are you going to tell him?" "No, but he has ways of finding things out." "I like this job," I said, a little sad. "Then you should trust Rockney. I've known him for a long time, and I trust him. Naoki is evil. He's killed so many people, including most of my race. Hell, he killed the Bells. Champagne is the last of her race, thanks to him. Rockney's trying to rid the world of Naoki and save you and everyone else. If Naoki gets his way, you and your friends and family may die." Is there some kind of war coming? I asked. This sounds a lot like the books I read.
Rockney and I have been preparing for one. We don't know when it will happen, but it will happen. Naoki has been subtle about his actual intentions, and we all know he doesn't have many followers to help him. He only has a handful of vampires and a werewolf or two up there. That's why he needs Astrid.
How do you know he needs her? I couldn't help but ask this.
Well, Rockney and Shay told me. Shay is Astrid's mother, after all. She knows more about Naoki than I do.
Did you hear about Cormac and his dad coming into the village? I asked. Victor laughed.
Yes, that must have been a sight. I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
Is there any chance Naoki is recruiting the giants to help him? I hoped I wasn't getting Cormac into trouble.
The giants are neutral, so I can't imagine them helping anyone, us or Naoki.
I shrugged. That's good. I'd hate to fight them if they did side with Naoki. I have another question. Why do you guys hire normal people to guard the whole village? We can't really do anything to stop anyone, obviously.
Sounds like you're trying to talk your way out of a job.
He laughed. He seemed to do that a lot, and it was an infectious sound that made me want to laugh as well. Yeah, I guess it does sound like that. Seriously though, why regular humans? I wasn't able to stop Trick or Ruin from coming in here.
You've been here for a while, so I'm not too surprised you're so curious. You ask good questions. I'm guessing you met Anila.
Yeah. She's really good at making me doubt everything.
She must have given you the whole, "you can't stop us if we decide to swarm the village" speech. She's just worried Rockney wants to take control of the island. She gives this speech to all the new guards. The reason we hire regular humans is to show that not all of our friends are magical creatures. The Dargonians are human too, and it helps to have a familiar face. Human guards at the gate actually add extra protection to the village, believe it or not. Nothing that poses a true threat can get in when you guys are there. Ruin and Cormac are harmless. If they hadn't been, they would have been pushed away by the barrier that surrounds us. It's something Rockney came up with to reinforce the barrier, since most of his power is tied up in the protection of the rest of the island.
What about Trick? Victor scratched his hairy chin.
Well, that was weird. He shouldn't have been able to come in either.
Maybe he didn't pose a threat, I offered. I shouldn't have. Victor looked at me, a little insulted. I was reinforcing the doubt I cast on Rockney, and he didn't like it.
He killed the bells! Like I said earlier, if you don't like the job, you should quit. Rockney and I don't take kindly to people who doubt our intentions. We're fighting for you and your people. To doubt our work is to cripple us. We can't have that.
I nodded. I understand. I'm sorry.
Don't mention it. Anything else I can do for you?
I finished my soda and shook my head. Thanks for the chat. I feel better now.
Good.
He finished his drink.
What do you have going on for the rest of the day?
Nothing.
Want to check out my theater system?
Hell yeah. We watched an action movie with the sound turned way up. The subwoofer almost made my heart explode. After the movie, I returned to Dallas. I did feel a little better after my talk with Victor, and decided to trust in Rockney. I slept with my necklace on, and made sure to keep it on at all times until this war was over. I didn't want Naoki putting more doubts into my head. I wondered if quitting the job would save me from any more dreams. If I never returned to Dargo Island, there would be no reason for Naoki to contact me again. I didn't want any part in this supposed war. I just hoped the good guys won.